Hello and welcome to another season of The Red Zone. I'm your host, Alex Campbell, and I hope you are as excited as I am for the return of Cardinals football as they look to make a third consecutive trip to the Stag Bowl and once again play for a national championship. Hopefully this show's season debut goes as well as North Central football's did as they traveled to Crawfordsville, Indiana and Wabash College for Brad Spencer's first game as head coach. The last time these two teams played was a 51-15 North Central victory, and things looked very similar this time around. Let's take a look at the highlights. North Central football is back. The Cardinals' quest to advance to a third consecutive Stag Bowl, hopefully with a different outcome this time, began with the trip to Crawfordsville, Indiana and Wabash College for the team's first meeting since a dominant North Central playoff victory in 2019. Brad Spencer took charge as head coach of the Cardinals for the first time, looking to start both the season and his coaching career 1-0. The Cardinals' first drive looked very familiar and was finished off by a pass from sophomore quarterback Luke Lanin to junior wide receiver DeAngelo Hardy, who dances past defenders and into the end zone. Wabash looked to pull some trickery on their first possession, but Tyler Rich and the Cardinals defense weren't fooled. Ethan Greenfield set a North Central record with 305 rushing yards in the 2019 win over Wabash, and he found familiar success early with big runs like this one. Lanin then airs it out for junior wideout Joey Lombardi, one of a number of new faces on the roster after transferring from Illinois State. That big play sets up a short touchdown run for Greenfield, his first of the season, to give the Cardinals a 14-0 advantage. Lanin gashed the Little Giants for another giant gain through the air on the Cardinals' next drive, this one to Hardy, who then got to finish things off himself with a rushing touchdown to go with his earlier TD catch and extend the North Central lead to 21-0 still in the first quarter. The Cardinals' defense pitched a shutout in the opening quarter, helped by great efforts like this from Northern Illinois transfer Antoine Walker to break up the pass. The offense then marched right back down the field again with another short Greenfield touchdown run to top off the drive. 28-0 Cardinals early in the second. Wabash's offense did eventually find some success, first by going back into the bag of tricks for a double pass that eventually finds Donovan Snyder, and then on a pass from Liam Thompson through a crowd of Cardinals to Penn Stoller. The Little Giants went for two both times and failed to leave the score at 28-12. But that would be all the Cardinals defense allowed. Dan Gilroy records his first sack of the season here by knocking the ball away from Thompson. From there, the Cardinals offense took center stage for the rest of the game. Another deep pass down the center of the field from Lanin to Hardy, plus the flag for pass interference. That moved the Cardinals into the red zone, where once again Ethan Greenfield punched it in, his 9th career game with at least 3 rushing touchdowns. DeAngelo Hardy, meanwhile, apparently took that as a challenge, because here he is catching his 3rd total touchdown of the day to put the Cardinals up by 30. In garbage time, Jordan Chisholm got his first rushing touchdown of the day, before Danny Nuccio intercepted a Thompson pass and ran it back deep into Wabash territory. The ensuing short drive would end with another short touchdown run, this one for Darius Byrd. The Cardinals and Brad Spencer are 1-0, an emphatic non-conference road victory by a big margin over the Little Giants, 56-12. So off the back of his first head coaching victory, we welcome into the studio for the first time as North Central Cardinals head football coach Brad Spencer. Brad, congratulations again on the promotion and on your first win as Cardinals head coach.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
So by my count, that was your 244th game involved with Cardinals football. Did the week leading up to this one feel any different than the previous 243 now that you've got the new job?
Yeah, I think it's always going to be a little bit different when you step into a new role with new titles, especially as the head coach, having a more global view of things, but still having hands and eyes in the offense and the play calling. It was certainly different. It's great to get the first one underneath our belt and to see our guys and our coaches perform the way that they did and get a win on the road. Certainly we're satisfied and happy with the outcome.
So what would you say you've learned about being a head coach since the last time we spoke a couple days after you were announced as the new head coach of North Central football?
Sure. Every day you're learning something new, you're doing something new. I think as a whole, it's the global view of everything, managing a staff, a lot more managing than as an offensive coordinator. But so far it's been great. We have a lot of consistency on our staff and a lot of veteran players. So I feel like for me, it's been a smooth transition, having seen how Cardinal football runs for the last 18 years. As an assistant coach, of course, helps, even though the day-to-day for me might be a little bit different. One of the things I want to focus on and, help to make sure that our players and our coaches still have the consistency, that they've had, the same days that they've had, and just put my own little touch on it. I'd say the biggest change is probably maybe just for our staff. Every head coach is going to have different day-to-day operations, meetings, processes. But at the end of the day, I think it still feels and looks pretty similar to most people.
So going into this game against Wabash, season opener, what were kind of like your big headline goals for the team in this game, kind of your main instructions for the guys, and how do you think they did?
Sure. Anytime you're in a game one, you worry about penalties, you worry about turnovers. You want to make sure that your assignment's sound. So those were kind of the main objectives. And as you saw the game, we did a great job not turning the football over. Our defense got a turnover. The one place that we felt like we can get better going into week 2 will be the penalties. We had 11 penalties, and you saw in the second quarter that it really hurt us a little bit. 7 of those 11 were in the second quarter. We lost that quarter 12-7. You saw the momentum shift a little bit. So in a game one, that's really what you're looking for is making sure that you're lining up, you're playing hard, you're trying to play as penalty-free as you can, and then you're not turning the football over.
You mentioned that this team brings back a lot of veteran players. We'll get to their specific plays in a few minutes, but how important is it to have guys like Ethan Greenfield, like DeAngelo Hardy, and then Luke Lane and a lot of the offensive line? How important is it to have those guys who are stepping up from the word go, even though it's week 1, they in many ways look like they're in midseason form?
Right. It's extremely important, especially, when you're trying to put together game plans. They can recall things from past years, past weeks. It helps with installing in camp as well. They just have a little bit stronger base knowledge of your offense and your defense. And it allows you as a coach, whether you're a coordinator or a head coach, to just keep building on what you have. And then I think the other piece of it is experience. And so, we're on the road against a good opponent, a team that we played in the playoffs just a few years ago, who has, in our opinion, a top 5 quarterback in the country. To have guys that they've gone through the traveling, they know what it is to be on a bus or be on a plane, to be sleeping in hotels, disrupting your normal day-to-day, that helps a lot too. And I think that's why at our level you see, the teams that are making deep pushes into the playoffs, they are teams that are typically a little bit older.
So you mentioned that second quarter, a bit uneasy. Wabash ends up winning the quarter, a lot of penalties on you guys. What was the message at halftime? What were the adjustments the team made that allowed to turn a potentially close game into really a blowout by the end of things?
Right. For us, it was just stop hurting ourselves. Self-inflicted wounds at that point was keeping Wabash in the game. Told the guys we've got to clean things up, and from there, we were able to do that in the second half. We won the second half 28-0. And, that was kind of that.
So this game actually, it's kind of some nice symmetry. The way this game proceeded, which was, 50-something to something in the teens and only allowing points in the second quarter, that's exactly what you guys did to Carthage last year, who are your opponents this week. They lost their opener 52-0 to Albion College. I assume a benefit of having a very veteran team is you don't need to tell guys to focus going into a game like this where you're going to be big favorites, the first of many this year. As a head coach, kind of what's your philosophy into mentally preparing your team for games where they are expected to go out and easily take care of business?
Right. Well, each week our message in all three phases is to focus on ourselves. It really doesn't matter who's lining up across from you. That's an uncontrollable. And so we want to focus on our controllables, which is our input, how we practice, how we prepare, how we watch film, how we game plan. And as long as you're focusing on that, the results will take care of itself. And that allows you to take the opponent out of it. Whether you're lining up against a team who hasn't won a football game or you're lining up against, the defending national champs, the focus has to be you. And as long as you're doing that, you're going to be making the proper steps you need to be ready, that week. We're both heading into game 2, us and Carthage. The biggest jumps that teams make every single year are always between game 1 and game 2. So, we're looking at it knowing that they're going to make some adjustments. They're probably going to do some new things on film that they haven't done before. So we've got to be ready to adjust in game to those things as well. So, but at the end of the day, focus on ourselves, focus on our process, focus on our practicing and our prep. That'll get us the result that we want.
In addition to being heavily favored, another familiar circumstance recently for North Central football is being the number 1 ranked team in the country, which, according to D3Football.com, you guys are once again now heading into week 2. Does that carry any added weight, or is, expectation something this team is used to, and that's just all noise?
Yeah, at our meeting last night, congratulated the guys on that. But again, just like each game and each opponent, those are circumstances that are out of your control. We don't control where we're rated, how we're rated. We can only control how we prep and how we play. So added pressure, no. We know that there's a target on our back. There was on Saturday and there is today. That's not going to change. We're okay with that. Again, as long as you're focusing on yourself and not those external circumstances, then we'll be all right. But I think our guys are used to it. It's a veteran group. They've been around and had those types of rankings for the last 2, 3, 4 years. It's not anything that, again, is new to them. They're pretty accustomed to it.
It is now time for the first time this season to check the tape, where we look back at a few plays from the week that was and break them down with head coach Spencer. And Brad, we're going to start with the running game. 5 rushing touchdowns in this game, I think all from inside 2 yards or less. And this is a good opportunity to talk about the push your offensive line was getting on all of these runs.
Yeah, our guys did a great job. We had, I think, 244 rushing yards. We brought back 4 of 5 starters on our offensive line. Really all 4 of our tight ends that played last year are returning. So with our backs that are back, Luke's ability to run the football, we expect to rush the ball every single game, and it's certainly going to be where we start our game planning, because it sets everything else up.
We talked about him a little bit earlier. DeAngelo Hardy matches Ethan Greenfield, 3 total touchdowns in this game. What kind of versatility does DeAngelo's skill set add to your offense?
A lot. We can line him up at receiver, we can line him up at running back, H-back, we can even line him up at quarterback. He's a very versatile football player for us. He's certainly a guy that we're going to target and try and get the ball in his hands. He had a great game. Did a really fantastic job of stepping up with Andrew Kaminsky graduating as our kind of lead premier receiver. He handled the spotlight really well, and can't wait to see what he can do this week.
Another area of the team that saw a lot of talent graduate was in the secondary. Right. And we've got one brand new face and one familiar face coming in and making plays. First, Antoine Walker just laying out to knock this ball away from a Wabash receiver. And then Julian Bell, returning to North Central, made 2 really big plays on defense as well.
Yeah, I'm really excited about our defensive backs. We have some, like you said, new faces. We had some guys graduate, but it's extremely athletic, fast, and actually experienced defensive backfield. Some of their experience with Antoine and Julian are at other schools at other levels, but I think they did a great job in our opening game, and they're only going to get better from here.
Well, head coach Brad Spencer, congratulations on your first victory as head coach of North Central, and hopefully we're right back here next week talking about victory number 2.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
Opportunity is everywhere. It is in everything and within every one. Your opportunity is at the center of all that we do, so that you can exceed your personal best.
The Cardinals scored 8 touchdowns against Wabash on Saturday, and now I'm joined by the scorers of 6 of those, Ethan Greenfield and DeAngelo Hardy. Guys, congrats both on the win and the great individual efforts.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So, Ethan, I'm going to start with you. I think your 3 runs for the touchdowns totaled 7 yards. How, is it meaningful to you when you do so much of the work on these drives to be the guy who finishes them off?
Not really. I mean, in the way I think about it, I want to score. I want our team to score regardless of who it is, and I'm going to be just as happy if it's me or D'Lo or Terrence or anyone else.
And then DeAngelo, Ethan gets his 3rd, and then on the drive that I think was your last series on the field, you go out and catch your 2nd TD receiving, 3rd total. Is there some friendly competition there when you know this is your last chance to equal what he's already done?
I know back in high school we always give each other a little hard time about who has the most touchdowns, because if you guys didn't know, we both went to the same high school together. So even in high school, we always gave each other a little hard time, whoever scored the most touchdowns. So yeah, it's not so much competition, it's just a little friendly banner.
So before this season, you guys both earned the distinction of being named first team preseason All-Americans by D3 Football. Do those kind of accolades, do they resonate for you guys despite the fact that, you've both earned so many honors already in your careers?
I think it's something that's definitely cool to have, and something to say I won this award, I got this recognition, but in the long term, it really doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, it matters about our team and us winning games, not about individual awards specifically, but it still is a cool and very unique honor to have bestowed upon you.
Yeah, going off what he says, it's cool to be recognized and all that, but at the end of the day, if we're not getting to the end goal of playing in the national championship, it really doesn't matter what kind of accolades you get.
So DeAngelo, you're kind of the last man standing from what's been this team's receiving core the last couple of seasons. How has your role changed at all going into this year as now the veteran member of that receiving core?
It's a little different, because the past years I always looked up to Blake, Andrew Kaminsky, Corey Blair, Matthew Metz. So I always had those guys to lean back on and ask the questions. So now that everyone's leaning on me to for the answer to the questions, it's different, but I'm ready to step into that role and be that player for the guys.
And actually, kind of going off of that, what's it like for you guys to have so many grad assistant coaches now who you know well as friends and teammates? You've got guys like Kaminsky and Blake Williams. You've got Sharmore Clark hanging around. What's it been like having those guys still be part of the group, even though they're not playing in the games?
Yeah, I think that I could probably speak for me and D'Lo one and the same about how we feel towards all those former players now being our coaches. There's really not much change. I'm happy they're around, because play with them for so long, won a lot of games with them. You love them, you want them around, and in a way, we already kind of coach each other. I know that Kaminsky been teaching D'Lo, kind of showing him the ropes and stuff for so long, so it's really not that much of a difference. Just the biggest difference is Sharmore's not wearing pads with us on Saturday, and Kaminsky's not strapping up on Saturday with us also. But it's awesome to have them there and have them around, and they're guys who's done a ton for the program and done a ton for me and D'Lo and a lot of other guys there, and so it's nice that they're still able to help and have a lot more to give to the program.
And then Ethan, I think at this point, if you were to open up the North Central Football records page, I think your name is every single line of the rushing records.
Oh, yeah.
So now in your 5th season as a member of this team, what do you personally want to accomplish? What are your goals this year now that you've kind of checked all the usual boxes?
Yeah, I think that it's gotten to a point that I'm no longer really looking at numbers-wise, because, if you look at numbers, you're going to get a little lost of what the main picture is. So, I don't really pay attention to that, and throughout the season and going into my career is stuff that it's cool that has happened. But again, that's a huge testament to the 5 guys who's playing in front of me on the offensive line and the tight ends, and they have it should mean more to them than to me, because their name should be up there too, because they're the people that do all the work. But now I'm just trying to be the best teammate I can to everyone, teaching younger running backs, really stepping into a big leadership role, especially as a captain, trying to make sure that we're on the right path to do what we want to do or to have an opportunity to do it, and then that we don't mess that up or stray from what our main goal is.
So you guys know the drill here on the Red Zone. With you guys, we like to finish up with some Red Zone quick hits, some non-football questions, maybe a little bit lighter. And so this being the first episode of the fall, I want to start with asking each of you, what was the favorite thing you did over the summer? What's your favorite memory from this year's summer vacation?
Dude, I'm trying to think.
I really didn't do much. I did a lot of working, trying to save up money for school, but probably I went to, back in our hometown, we have Six Flags right by us, so I like to go there and have a good time with the family, go on rides.
Yeah, I think I was also the same, just a lot of working out and training and working over the summer, but got a few friends together. We go down to Pontiac, Illinois every year because one of our teammates lives there, and or a few of them do actually, and they have a nice little pond down there, and we go down there and hang out like once a summer, so that's normally one of the highlights.
Next, you guys have had a few weeks to get to know all of them. Of all the freshmen who've come onto the team this year, anybody standing out as the funniest or the biggest personality, really already making their mark on the locker room?
Oh yeah, we had in the receiver room, we had this kid named Thomas Skokna. His brother played here in the past with Coach Warden, but every time he walks in the room, everyone looks at him and just smiles. Like he doesn't even have to say anything. He just walks in and he just has everyone cracking up laughing.
Yeah, there's a lot of really funny guys in this class. They're a special group of people, really stepped into the program and bought into everything and just meshed really well. And one of the guys I think of, especially in the running back room, Mari Roby, you'll definitely be seeing him on the field in the next few years. He's a talented kid, but he's just a goofball and meshes with everyone. It's like was everyone's friend like right away.
And then finally, of course, North Central football, not the only football, starting their season this past weekend. Week 1 NFL in the books this past week. Real quick before I get you guys out of here, I need a Super Bowl prediction by the end of the year. Who's your pick to win it all this year?
I'm going the Chargers. Jay Herbo is going crazy, and they just got Khalil Mack. So their defense and offense is they're going to do real good this year.
Brandon Staley timeouts not costing them this time around?
Yeah.
I don't watch too much NFL, so I don't really keep tabs and stuff other than Chicago Bears. So I watch them a lot, but I did watch the Bills and the Rams play, and they say the Bills look pretty good if I had to put in an early thing. And I love Josh Allen and how he plays, and Stephon Diggs is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, and I'd say that they're definitely up there. So I would probably say they're probably one of, if I had to guess who would win, it'd be probably the Bills.
Well, Ethan Greenfield, DeAngelo Hardy, welcome back to the show. Congratulations on getting off on the right foot, 1-0, and thanks for coming on the Red Zone.
Thanks for having us.
Stay in the know at home or on the go with NCTV 17 News Update. This quick recap of everything happening in and around town will be delivered straight to your email inbox for free. Sign up today.
It's time for this week's Red Zone play of the game. For 3 of the 4 quarters on Saturday, the Cardinals completely shut down the Wabash offense, and they finished things off with this interception by sophomore linebacker Danny Nuccio, returning it for 58 yards, the longest interception returned by a Cardinal since 2014. A big play and a big win, both worth celebrating. And that's this week's Red Zone play of the game. And that is that for the 2022 season debut of the Red Zone. Thanks to head coach Brad Spencer and to Ethan Greenfield and DeAngelo Hardy for coming on the show. The Cardinals are back on the road this week. They take on the Carthage College Firebirds up in Kenosha on Saturday afternoon. We'll be back with another episode of the Red Zone next week to recap that game and get you all set for the home opener on September 24th against Elmhurst. Until then, I'm Alex Campbell. Thanks for watching.